Hey, what's going on, guys? This is your old pal, CHH. Have a seat. Come on in. Now, do you guys remember about maybe a month or so ago, I did this really cool documentary kick on here? I was talking about documentaries like The American Nightmare, which is a great IFC documentary. That was really fun. Then we did one on Going to Pieces, the rise and fall of the slasher film. That was really cool. Then we did Boogeyman, which is not a great documentary, but for some reason people love this documentary. It just kills me that they love it so much. And then we started this off with Nightmares in Red, White, and Blue, and this is one of my favorite. It's narrated by the great Lance Henriksen, so you get that really deep, heavy voice talking you through some of these movies. Great stuff. There was a white whale that I've been wanting. Now, this was a documentary I saw before. You can find it. Somebody uploaded this to YouTube, but I wanted the DVD because it was one of the most well-edited, well-put-together, professional, high-end documentaries I had ever seen. Finally, I was able to get this. Now, these are floating around. You may be able to find this at a thrift store or maybe get lucky and find it at a used DVD shop, which I probably will now now that I have it. And if I do, I will get it. And I'll go with my patrons first and see if one of them want to own this and I can send it to them. But the documentary in question, the one I want to talk to you guys about today, is Halloween, The Inside Story. This is a sensational documentary. I love it so much. So, Halloween, The Inside Story came out, I think, around 2010 or 11. Yeah, it says 2010. So this was after the Rob Zombie films and well before the Halloween 2018 remake and all that sort of stuff. So, why was I so excited to get this? Because Halloween, The Inside Story is a real professional look at the making of the film. This has a lot of the big players you would want to see. It has Jamie Lee Curtis, it has John Carpenter, Tommy Lee Wallace, the actors from the film, the production people from the film. It even has Tony Moran, which this was well before he kind of went off the deep end, although I did see that neck tattoo on him in this documentary. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with neck tattoos for all my people out there that have neck tattoos, but we have seen the trajectory that Tony Moran has made, so I'm just calling a spade a spade. Now, one of my favorite things about a horror documentary specifically is this. When you have talking heads, this I think is what they're called, which is basically what this is, a talking head shot, where you get a little bit of the chest area and the head, and you got a blurry background, which I'm trying to attempt now. I've got a more shallow depth of field lens, so hopefully my background is a little bit blurrier than usual, which I think makes everything look somewhat professional. Anyway, my point is, when you have moments like that, the backdrop is supposed to be really important for me. And what I love about the backdrop stuff in Halloween, The Inside Story DVD, is they have the Myers house behind them. And some of them even have the cool pumpkin that we would see in the beginning of the movie behind them. And it just... talk about letting the viewer really get sunken into the Halloween world while watching this. That was sensational. We get to hear from John, Jamie Lee, the birth of the movie, how it started, Irwin Yablans' idea, talking to John. It's not necessarily a documentary that breaks ground in terms of bringing in new information, but at the time it did. That's what's important about documentaries like Inside Story. This was 2010, so I think when I first saw this, I did learn a lot. They had a lot of stuff covered very well in Halloween 25 Years of Terror, but there were some other nuggets of information in here that, looking back, I was like, that's where I remember hearing about that first. And they go into great detail about the production, the nuggets of everything that happened beforehand, John's movie career, what he wanted to make, and all that sort of stuff. And there's some really interesting things in here that, looking back now, caused controversy, and it's still up for debate big time. One of the big things about this is, in this documentary, the narrator, who is a British voice person, and it's very soothing to hear that woman's voice in here as she's narrating things through. Alright guys, so excuse the quick cut, but I had to jump in here really quick to say, when I was pulling up the version on YouTube to get some screen grabs for this video, it's an American voice doing the narration, but on the DVD that I have, it's a British person, so there's a different narration, I guess, that was used for the American, broadcast of this. Very interesting. I love a good narrator, too. That's always a very important thing. They talk about how Deborah plays the shape in the movie. Now, that has been debated for some time now. Deborah has talked about it in the bonus features of an old DVD. And in this, the narrator actually says even Deborah Hill played Michael in a long shot distant shot of Michael across the street. Sean Clark did a video basically debunking that, even claiming that he has proof with some of the Kim Gottlieb photos, but he can't show them because those photos haven't been done publicly yet. Kim Gottlieb is also in here, and she did this amazing picture book, which I have on set with Kim Gottlieb, and she covers Halloween in the book. And I flipped through the book to see they only have a certain number of Halloween pictures in there, but that information has never been 100% proven. The closest thing was Sean Clark's video he did, I think, a year or so ago, but that, I think, causes some controversy looking back at that. But even still, it doesn't make you say, oh, man. They even have Rob Zombie in here talking about Halloween. And, they actually do a really good job in here of actually covering the sequels, not necessarily in a positive light, but what I love about this documentary, too, is along with having this just sensational professional feel and great information, and the flow of things are great. You're going from director to actor to this to that. The editing on this is so funny because they talk about the scene where PJ Souls has to bring her, her blanket down a little bit, and you get to see her chest. And John, she's talking about how John was, and the editing going back to John was like, it's great. It was great. And you see some film critics in here. It's not overly laced with it. The 80s horror docs, the In Search of Darknesses. I like seeing the people that are horror professional adjacent. When I say professional adjacent, I mean the people that worked for magazines. They have big followings on sites. They work for companies. Like Ryan Turek, for instance, which it's cool listening to him. But like with this, I really like that 95% of it is the cast and crew talking, giving their stories. But then you get little moments with some film critics here and there. And it was really cool seeing Anthony Mackie in here, which he did Halloween 25 Years of Terror. So it was great that he was involved in this, as well as, I got to interview him and talk to him about the making of his documentary, which if you haven't seen that video, I did check that out. But this is such a well put together professional doc. Now, the inside story is something that is done for certain movies. Silence of the Lambs, I believe, had one done too, and it was incredible. Again, it's a high-end production company that made these back in the day, and I think this is even from, you can see, Bio. So very well done, guys. This is such a cozy, great documentary. In terms of horror, Halloween documentaries specifically, Halloween 25 Years of Terror is like right here, but Halloween the Inside Story is just a notch above it. It's so perfect. It tells this beautiful story. John's in a good mood. They caught him on a good mood. Jamie Lee is great in this. I mean, she was lovely in this. But for some reason, guys, this DVD is hard to get. They produced them right when the documentary came out, and they've been out of print for years and years. This might have even had a slipcover. Obviously, my copy doesn't, but it's just a single DVD release. There's no bonus features. It's just the documentary. But when I say that this is a must-have for Halloween collectors, I mean it. I mean, I'm not trying to just stir it up like, well, go spend money on it. No. Try to find it cheap, but talk about a great documentary, guys. I can't put over enough how much I love this. So if you can find this, guys, definitely get your hands on it. It is a classic horror documentary, and I wanted to talk about it today. If you need to just see it, Google Halloween the Inside Story, guys, and somebody uploaded the whole thing on Facebook. I think that's the only domain where it's been able to be up and be able to stay up, because I think it gets pulled when it hits YouTube. It used to be on YouTube years and years ago, which is where I watched it, but I'm so happy to have this and have it with my Halloween collection. So, guys, I love it. I give this documentary a perfect 10. Could not be happier. But the interesting thing I want to add, too, is when they talk about Rob Zombie's Halloween in here, after they have Rob Zombie talk about wanting to do the job, they have a couple critics talk, and they just say, yeah, this movie doesn't work. So there's no love for Rob Zombie in this documentary, which I have a sense of humor. Even though I like the movies, I can laugh at that. There's no reason to get up in arms about it. It's funny. So, guys, yeah, I highly recommend searching this out. Go check your used DVD shops. Go check around. You may be able to find this very cheap. But, yeah, thanks so much to my pal Kyle for hooking me up with this. But like I said, guys, now that I own it, I'll probably find it. And if I do, I'll grab it, and I'll try to get it in the hands of another Halloween fan. I'll go to my patrons first and see which one of them wants it. So thank you guys for watching this, guys. Halloween the Inside Story. I cannot recommend this enough. Check it out. Huge, giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind-the-scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.